still has to be large?
Well, not too small. Yeah, like you don't want something itsy bitsy postage stamp, and you also don't want to choose something that is already stylized. That's kind of not fair. You want to pick a photo or a realistic painting. The idea here is that you're going to stylize it. You're going to turn it into something quite different. Okay, another minute. Wow.
Can you screenshot it and just drop it in?
You could do a screenshot. That's totally fine. This is the basis of what you're going to be working with. This is not trying to be super accurate, but once you have your thing that you want to use, control click on it because you're on Mac, or right mouse click. I like control click, and do save image as and know where you put it. So knowing where you put it, this one is going on my desktop. So you're going to grab an image for this assignment, and again, the assignment is how to create a stylized portrait in Illustrator using sundry techniques, including simplifying color, tracing, drawing and filling, and working with clipping masks. So once you've got it in there, and you found what you want, and you've saved it somewhere, your next step is to go back to Illustrator, and I'm going to go find my Layers panel here. You know what I probably need to do is I need to reset my workspace, so I'm going to reset Essentials. Window, Workspace, and I'm going to pick the Color workspace here. Color space, and this is one I made. It's kind of messy, but it has color and swatches. These are the things I think you'll need. Links, you probably do not need. Libraries, you may want transparency. So we're going to do 2 partial projects over the next 2 hours. And the first one is going to be this stylized artwork. And we're going to work with some of these tools, and then you might want to do a couple of save ases if you like your different techniques, and you might want to try a few different things. So now that I have my artwork started, and I have the palettes I need, transparency, layers, swatches, and color, I am going to save this. Save as on the desktop as JC 70s style. We'll see what I actually come up with. Sometimes I'll start in a direction, I'll create something completely different, but this is what I'm thinking. JC 70s style. You can just call it Traced Art number 1, whatever suits you. We have our 11 by 14 canvas. That's the size of this work. And we've searched for an image and saved it to a location that we can find it in. We can see our layers. We also have swatches and color and transparency available, as well as our main tools. And the first part of this creative portrait idea or project is to be organized. So starting with layer 1, I'm going to double click layer 1, and I'm going to call this one Original Image. There's nothing on it yet. When you are done naming your layer, you're going to go to want to go to Place, File, Place. Locate your image. Click Place, and if you are watching on screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit below the top because I want space for the headline, I think, and maybe a little bit smaller than the whole main canvas. And now I should be placing my JC art, but nothing seems to be happening. Return. JC, where you at? All right, let's try that again. File, place, and here's my JC art. And this time I'm just going to click because clicking and dragging wasn't working. And this time I have it, but I want to scale it. If you hold the Shift key, you'll constrain to the original proportions. If you don't care about the original proportions, you could end up with something distorted. And I want to keep that Sacred Heart in there. It's kind of a deal for me. And then there's that. So I'm going to squish it in a little here. I don't want it so distorted. All right. So now I have it placed where I want. Please do the same. Find your image, place it, let me know if you need help. Raise your hand so I can help you. I definitely don't want the final type to be on his head, so I want to move this down in anticipation of the position of the headline of my magazine. All right, that's pretty close to what I want. With it placed where you want, make sure you save your file. So I will go ahead and resume now. Your character person is there. It should be a portrait in this case for our class. And the idea of keeping an original appeals to me, so I'm going to click on the original image and drag and drop it on top of, if you are looking on screen, on top of the new page icon. And here I have original image, and it is this one that I'm going to lock and hide. So now I'm looking at original image copy. To make it easier to see what I'm doing, I'll go to panel options and resize my panels to as large as I can get them, which is actually 72 pixels. And there shows you what I have showing and what I have hidden and what I am targeted on. The next step of what I'm going to show you is not that possible to do if you don't know the outcome that you want to create. But I do know the outcome I want to create, and what I want to be able to do is really simplify the color here so I can replace it with other colors for the first rendition of the portrait. So the colors that I want to replace it with would likely be a lot of these bright colors. But I also might want to consider using some of the original color as well and just simplifying this. As I've mentioned and will mention again, there are a number of different ways to go about this process. This is just one of my ways that I think works. So the first thing you'll want to do is sample a color from the original. And I'm going to pick this highlight tonality here in his skin, maybe underneath his chin. I'm looking for the lightest skin tone color here that I have of this guy. Okay, so there's the color I want to keep. And the color I want to keep, if I do here a large thumbnail view, you can see the colors a little better. And here's the color I want to keep. This is a part I think you need to watch. So I'm going to click and drag this new color swatch down here. When I let go, it goes in the color palette as the next color that's not in a group. These with the folders are groups. So there is the color. Now, my friends, please look on screen. If I double click this color and I click on this word, checkbox for this word called global, I have now made this into a spot color. A spot color generally, in terms of printing in a large printing press kind of firm, are colors that are formulas based on rounded numbers, usually within 5% of a color. So if I'm trying to create a poster out of this for my Jesus Christ Superstar cover edition of the Rolling Stone magazine, I would likely want to make sure that these are round numbers. So for 10 on this color, where I'm looking at cyan, I'm going to change that 10 point something to 10. For 29, I'll change that to 30. And for 46, I'll change that one to 45. And you really do not see much shift in the color. Looks fine. And then I'm going to click OK. And that is my first global or custom color. Any other colors that you might want to draw from the original can be sampled. Click to choose the color. Then again, you can drag the color into the palette, double click on the color, round the numbers up or down to the nearest 5 so that they're clear, easy to mix colors, nothing weird. And then make sure the global checkbox is selected, and if you wanted to give it a custom name, you could do this. I could call this one Sacred Heart Red. And now I have a red color. I'm going to do one more just to show you the process and to demonstrate this concept of spot colors. So I'm going to choose a new bright pinky color, not different enough. How about the color of this golden heart flame? That's kind of a nice color, and I don't really see that in my palette anywhere. So it's drag and drop, choose the color. It's choose the color, drag and drop the color, double click the color, round out the numbers of the color, and this one I would probably bring it to 10 and 30 and 65. Make sure you click global, and now you have 3 custom spot colors. That is how you create a spot color. And I will show you in a little while how to use these colors.
So are they supposed to be instead of process, we click spot?
No, you don't have to click spot to actually make it a spot color.
Okay.
If you notice here it says global color. If I choose spot color here, it's going to keep the same values. It just calls it the type of spot color. But it functions exactly the same way in Illustrator. So what you said is not really a no. It's a if you want. Right? So now it says it's a spot color. But if you see here, it has a little dot on it. And that spot color functions the same way as a global color. But usually the reason why they have a dot is if a customer gives you a color combination and they're like, I need you to use this exact green, you can see which ones are which in the palette. So thank you for that excellent question. And the answer is thank you. That's the answer. All right. So this is either way a spot color. Whether it says process or whether it says spot, it's still a spot color. All right, so here I'll leave it on spot because Frankie's right. I should make sure I explain that. All right, now that I have these colors and I can see which ones can't change because it's a client color, I can go on to the next step. Now, I recognize that you may not like the outcome of what happens next, but I need to show it to you so I can get you started, okay? The next process is tracing in Illustrator. So I'm going to stop this movie and go on to creating a fresh one. So I'll see you in the next movie of this step-by-step how to create a stylized portrait.